The Carolina Hurricanes were able to exercise their postseason demons by knocking the Boston Bruins out of the Stanley Cup Playoffs this weekend and move on to round two, where they are going to face the New York Rangers. Find out just how the Hurricanes were able to overcome the Bruins and what they need to do heading into round two against the Rangers in today's episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I'd like to thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of the day. And this episode is brought to you by the lovely folks over at BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. And as always, I would like to ask you to rate the show 5 stars on whatever streaming platform you're listening on. And subscribe on YouTube. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes. Myself on Twitter at JaredEllis_96. And make sure that you are tagging the show and myself, if you want to, in your postseason pictures, whether you're at the game, watching with friends, whatever it may be. Let me see them. I want to see those pictures. I love seeing those on social media because especially after Game 7, the Carolina Hurricanes were able to move on to round 2 in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. They got past the Boston Bruins. And yes, I know the Hurricanes were obviously the betting favorite and they're favored in this series. But, you know, you look back at this series, and I think it was a lot closer than folks expected. I know originally I said, 5-6 games. I did not expect it to go 7 games. I didn't. And I think that the Hurricanes, it was not a perfect series. I mean, you can obviously, big thing there. They never won on the road in this series against Boston. And that is something that they are going to have to be able to do heading into this series against the Rangers. And they get past that, in the conference final, in the cup final. They're going to have to be able to win on the road. I think that is going to be very key heading into this coming series and beyond. They got to win on the road. But looking at this Boston series, I think the Hurricanes, they really persevered in this series because you are down your what should have been a Vezina finalist goaltender, Freddie Anderson. You're missing him. You lost your alternate captain, Jordan Martinook, to injury. You lost Antti Raanta for a bit there, and you're dealing with injuries, and that's something that every team is going to deal with in the postseason. But the Hurricanes, they had some cards stacked against them, because heading into this playoff, I've said, Antti Raanta, he's obviously a great goaltender, and my dog just fell out of the chair, so that's what that big thud was. I'm gonna leave that in because that was funny. But looking at Antti Raanta and just how he was kind of able to almost defy expectations in this series. Again, no one ever thinks he's a bad goalie or anything like that. But the injuries, can he stay healthy? He got knocked out with injury in this series. And Piotr, obviously, coming in, doing really well as also, and that's another great story. But for me, Antti Raanta, for him to really seize the moment that he's been given, I think it's fantastic. I really, really do. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in this series against the Rangers. If and when Frederik Andersen comes back, who do you go with there? And I think that's going to be something really, really interesting to watch for. And saying with Walt Rupp, it's not that the Hurricanes need Freddie Andersen back, because we obviously want to see him back, but we don't need him back. We are in very capable hands with Antti Raanta and Pyotr Kochetkov. So I think it's going to be a very interesting rest of the postseason, whether or not we get Freddie Andersen back. And we're obviously going to get him back. It's just a matter of when. But again, this Boston series was not perfect. And my big thing with this series, I've said it already, the Hurricanes did not win on the road. And they have got to be able to do that in this series against the Rangers. And again, conference final, cup final, whatever. They got to be able to win on the road. I think that was one of my most glaring issues there, is they did not win on the road. You can obviously look at your offense stagnating, your emotions getting the better of the team, especially there in games 3 and 4. How the Hurricanes' emotions really got the best of them, and Bruins got in their head. And that is something that we cannot let happen against this series against the Rangers, because this series against the Rangers is going to be very, very intense, I feel. And on a different level, I guess you would say, than the Boston series, because your Boston series, those teams obviously don't like each other. There's the recent playoff history in 2019, 2020. There's that stuff there. And then how the Hurricanes really manhandled the Bruins in the regular season and that bad blood there. But then you look at it, and so obviously that was going to be a very rough and physical series, and the Hurricanes absolutely brought it in that terms. It was not like 2019, 2020 where the Bruins pushed the Hurricanes around. This time, the Hurricanes pushed back and in some cases did the pushing around. So I think that was big in them being able to overcome the Bruins. And I think, now heading into the Rangers series, I've said it all season long, these Metro games, even in the regular series, teams always bring a little bit extra whenever they play each other. And now you take that, where they already played each other a bit harder, and now you put that in the playoffs, amp it up to that level. So you're playing a division rival in the playoffs, so that's already going to be very, very intense. And now you also factor in, you beat them at home to win the division. There's going to be that animosity there as well. Home ice was on the line. The Hurricanes took that home ice. And speaking of the home ice, going back to that Bruins series, I think that was something that was very, very key in the Hurricanes winning that series, because they weren't able to win on the road. They had that home ice advantage, and I think that's something that really, really helped them overcome the Bruins. And now looking ahead to the Rangers as well, I think that's something that's going to play a big factor there. But diving more into the Rangers series, we will do that right after this quick break. The Carolina Hurricanes are moving on to the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs to take on the New York Rangers. And if you want to place your bets on that series, our partners at BetOnline.net continue to be the number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find the latest odds, news, sports development, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, hockey playoffs, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Again, the Carolina Hurricanes are heading into the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. The conference finals in the NBA are set, so whoever you want to put your bets on, BetOnline.net is here for you. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, we've obviously been talking a little bit about this Rangers series when we were talking about the Bruins series and what went right and what went wrong there. Now, looking fully to the Rangers series, we're obviously going to talk about this more with John from Locked On Rangers later in the week. But right here, right now, I think what the Hurricanes need to do, they need to get their power play firing on all cylinders. Because we know how potent that New York Rangers offense can be. They have a lot of firepower. And the thing is, so do the Hurricanes. And the Hurricanes can compete in that offensive battle and war, I guess you would say there. So it's not like, again, going back to 2019, 2020, where they didn't necessarily have the firepower to match up against some of those other top teams. Now the Hurricanes do. And so 5-on-5, the Hurricanes were really good for the most part in that series against Boston. Now, obviously, you look at those losses, not so much there, but the Hurricanes were really good on 5-on-5. And I feel that's going to be something that carries over into the Rangers series. The Hurricanes are going to be good at 5-on-5. I think where they're going to need to really bring it is those special teams opportunities. And when you get that power play, go down there and, score, obviously. But even if you aren't able to score, create pressure, have good power plays, generate chances. Obviously, you're going against the likely Vezina winner in Igor Shesterkin. So it's obviously going to be hard to score, and you're going to need to take advantage of every opportunity you get to take advantage, to get something going. Because, again, the New York offense, they can go. And, one goal might make the difference, and it could be that power play goal. And that's going to be something that the Hurricanes really, really have to do. And looking back at this Boston series, there's a lot of guys that had good series. We've obviously been singing Antti Ranta's praises, but it's not just him. Seth Jarvis, he was really, really good this series, in that series against Boston. I want to see him keep going. Brett Pesce was another standout. Jacob Slavin is always a standout. Andrei Svechnikov, he looked really good there, especially in, I forget which game it was, if it was 3 or 4. But, he was the one breathing life into the team in that game, And he's another guy. I want to see him keep going. Obviously, you're your top guys, your third line. I think what I really want to see is that full to complete team game. Guys up and down the lineup, chipping in on the score sheet, chipping in on defense, and all of that. I've said it all season long. When you have guys, from all over the ice, from your top line to your bottom line, your first defensive pairing to your third defensive pairing, all of those guys are operating as one unit. That is when this team is at their best. And I really think we're going to need that against New York. So looking at that, I want to see guys like, our Game 7 hero, Max Domi. I don't want that Game 7 to just be a one-off. I want him to be able to continue that momentum that he had in that game. I want to see that continue into Game 1 and Game 2 and beyond. I want to see that continue with him. Again, I do not want that to be a one-off situation, because that we need those guys to rise up and really grab the bull by the horns. And I want to see guys like Ethan Bear. Should he slot in? Obviously, he didn't in round 1, but should he get an opportunity? I want to see him really show up. And there's been issues where he seems to get a little panicky and whatnot. I want to see him just chill. Go out there, play your game. And obviously, I want to see Antti Ranta continue his run that he's having. Piotr, if he slots in, same thing with him. Freddie, if he comes back, I want to see him do really well also. I don't want it to necessarily be a case of 2019 Curtis McElhinney, he takes over for Peter Mrazek. Peter comes back in and the wheels fall off a little bit. Obviously this team is a lot better than that 2019 team was. No slight against them, of course, but we're better now. We're a more experienced team, and again, we're just flat out a better team now. We're better, more well-rounded team, and I think that we need all of those guys stepping up. And again, power play is going to be huge here heading into the series against New York. And I'm fully confident that the team can step up and get their power play going the way it needs to, because we've seen it. We've seen it happen. We saw it in the regular season. We saw it in games against Boston in round 1. The big thing there is consistency. It's very hot and cold, up and down. We need it to just stay hot, obviously, and not stay cold. We don't want that type of consistency where it's bad. Because looking back to last year, Tampa Bay had a really potent power play, and they were able to win those battles. The Hurricanes are going to have to do that in order to win this series against New York, win the conference final against whoever it may be, win the Stanley Cup final against whoever it may be. They can do that. I'm fully confident that they can win this series. I think the Hurricanes know that they can beat New York, and because they literally just did it. I think they know that they can do it. And to see a team that was, again, no slight against the Pittsburgh Penguins, but a team that was so beat up, having the goaltending issues that they're having the power play issues that they're having, a team that was having all of those issues could take New York to 7 games. I think the Hurricanes are feeling pretty confident because the Hurricanes are a better team than the Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, no offense to those guys. Mad respect for all of them. The playoffs, they're freaking hard. And obviously those guys brought even more effort, than they would in the regular season. And, I think the Hurricanes saw that how that beat up team was able to take New York to Game 7. I think they're like, all right, we can beat them. And I'm fully confident that the Hurricanes can beat them. I'm obviously going to keep my predictions to myself for right now. I'm going to save that for whenever we have the crossover series preview with John from Locked On New York Rangers. But in the meantime, I want to look around the rest of the playoff. See what's going on there and what all we can expect from the Hurricanes heading into this week, as well as the rest of the playoffs as well in our Monday Hurricane forecast. Folks, our friends over at Built Bar have officially dropped their Built Bar birthday cake puffs. My box just came in the other day, and I'm so looking forward to trying them here in just a little bit when I get done recording this episode. I've heard nothing but good things about them from my colleagues at Locked On NHL, and with these Built Bar Puffs, they are, of course, only 150 calories and packed with 16 grams of protein. I am super excited for these. Getting back into the gym and getting back and fit and healthy, having a snack like this is going to be absolutely fantastic. And, of course, Built Bars as a whole are great. All of them. These birthday cake puffs, the churro puffs, the regular double chocolate bars, whatever it may be, they're all covered in 100% real chocolate. And actually, these birthday cake puffs are covered in 100% white chocolate. So that's going to be very fun. And again, with Built Bars, most of them have only 150 calories, 16 grams of protein, and only 9 grams of sugar. I'm really looking forward to these birthday cake puffs. I cannot wait to dig into them. So we're going to get through this, folks. And right now, you can go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order when you use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Go get you some birthday cake puffs, folks. Now it's time for the Monday forecast for the Carolina Hurricanes, and we are also going to touch on the rest of the NHL as well. Of course, now the Hurricanes did, again, just complete their series over the Boston Bruins, so now they have a few days off, which is going to be obviously very good. Heal up, practice, get yourselves ready. Right now, the Hurricanes are set to take on the New York Rangers on Wednesday at 7 p.m. at home. And obviously, Game 2 is also at home on Friday. And then on Sunday, they are going up to Madison Square Garden for a 3:30 p.m. puck drop there. Friday is at 8 p.m. Wednesday is at 7. And I think, we look back to that division clinching game where they're able to clinch home ice through at least the first two rounds. I think that's going to be another really big thing heading into this series. Having that home ice advantage, I think, is going to be really key against the New York Rangers. And the Hurricanes, they got plenty of time to prepare now. They've been off for a few days, or not a few days, just 2 days now. And they weren't off today. They did practice at the newly christened Invisalign Arena at their practice facility. So I think, we look at this series against New York. We've been talking about it a lot. I think the Hurricanes just need to stick to their game. They can do that. It'll be all right. They got home ice. They got the Caniacs behind them. And they fully have what it takes to win this series and get back to the conference final. They fully do. But looking even past this week, obviously we're normally talking about just the remainder of this week, but it is worth mentioning the rest of the series. Again, they're Sunday, they're at the Rangers, and then Tuesday, Game 4 is on Tuesday in New York, and then should need be Game 5 on Thursday at home, and Game 6 next Saturday, the 28th in New York, and then if we need a Game 7, it'd be Monday, May 30th at PNC Arena. So the Hurricanes, again, I'm fully confident that they can get this series done against the New York Rangers. But now we look at the rest of the series and what's going on around the league. Obviously, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. You can go listen to those Locked On shows. But you had Colorado sweep Nashville. And then St. Louis beat Minnesota. So we got the Avs and the Blues in round 2 out in the West. Fully picking the Avs there if they don't choke. And then we also have the Battle of Alberta now in the second round. The Flames beat the Stars and the Oilers beat the Kings. I think that is going to be an absolutely must-watch series. That is going to be crazy intense, and I cannot wait. And also in the other Eastern Conference series, we had the Battle of Alberta up in Canada, and now we have the Battle of Florida down south, and between the Panthers and the Lightning. That is going to be another series that I think is going to be must-watch and very intense. Maybe not as intense as the Battle of Alberta between the Flames and the Oilers, but I think this is going to be a really intense one. The Panthers, they've always been a little brother there against the Lightning, so I'm very excited to see what they can do this year in this postseason. I really think, Tampa, they obviously have the experience on their side, but Florida, they've been crazy good this year, so we're going to have to wait and see there. I would say obviously I said I'm picking the Avs. I would say I'm probably going to pick the Flames in the other Western Conference series, and I'm going to go on them. I'm going to pick the Panthers. I'm going to pick the Panthers to win their series against Tampa. And I think they can do it. I think they are. I think they got it. I do. I don't think it'll be. I think it's definitely going to be a long series. I don't think it'll be like a sweep or anything, but I think the Panthers can pull it off. I think they can dethrone the Lightning, and we're going to get a new Stanley Cup champion this year. I do. But, again, saving the Hurricanes and Rangers prediction for the series preview with John. And in the meantime, make sure you follow Locked On Hurricanes on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes. Myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. Rate the show 5 stars on whatever streaming platform you are listening on. And subscribe on YouTube. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode.